Okay, real talk. What if I told you that there are governments out there right now in the 21st century that will hand you a house for free, deposit money into your bank account every single month, and basically beg you to come live in their country? And I am not talking about some shady scheme you found in the comments section at 2 in the morning. I am talking about official government-backed programs with real money, real homes, and real opportunities for regular people just like you and me. I am Julia, and between traveling to over 60 countries, navigating the wild world of dating across cultures, and genuinely trying to figure out where I actually want to plant roots in this world, I have spent years researching the kind of life-changing moves that most people never even know are possible. And today, I want to walk you through 5 countries that will literally pay you to live there. Some offer houses, some offer monthly stipends, some offer both, and all of them are more accessible than you think. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let us talk about the kind of life that people build when they are brave enough to just pick up and go somewhere unexpected. Country 1, Italy, where the dream costs €1 and the lifestyle is free. Let us start in Italy, because honestly, where better to begin a conversation about living your best life? And I know what you are thinking. Italy is expensive. Italy is complicated. Italy is for honeymoons and weekend trips, not real life. But here is where Italy flips the script entirely. For years now, dozens of small Italian towns have been running what are called €1 home programs. The concept is almost absurdly simple. A village that has been slowly losing its population because younger generations move to Rome or Milan or abroad, decides it would rather have living, breathing people in its empty stone houses than let those houses crumble into beautiful ruins. So they list the properties for €1, one single euro, the cost of a small espresso in the very country you are moving to. Now, when I first heard about this, my honest reaction was skepticism. What is the catch? And there are conditions, absolutely. Most programs require you to commit to renovating the property within a set time frame, usually 3 years, and you typically need to deposit a small sum, often a few thousand euros, as a guarantee that you will follow through on the renovations. Some municipalities also require that you register as a resident and spend a certain amount of time there each year. But here is what makes this genuinely remarkable. In many cases, the towns are so desperate for new residents that they will also offer renovation grants on top of the €1 purchase price. The village of Sambuca di Sicilia, which sits in the hills of Sicily with views that belong in a painting, was one of the pioneers of this movement. People flew in from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from Australia, from all over the world, and snapped up houses that had been empty for decades. The town got new life, new energy, new local businesses. The new residents got a piece of Italian history for almost nothing. And then there is Ololai, tucked away in the mountains of Sardinia. Ololai went even further than most. In some iterations of their program, they offered to pay new residents a monthly stipend just for agreeing to come and live there. The amount has varied over time, but the spirit of it is consistent. The town needs you more than you need them, and they are willing to put their money where their mouth is. Now, I want to be honest with you about what living in rural Italy actually looks like, because I think the Instagram version and the reality can be quite different. These are genuinely small communities. I am talking about villages where everyone knows everyone, where the nearest grocery store might be a 20-minute drive, where English is not widely spoken, and where the pace of life is slow in a way that some people find deeply restorative and others find quietly maddening. I have met people who renovated their Italian village home and say it was the greatest adventure of their lives. I have also met people who lasted 6 months and returned home. But here is what I keep coming back to as someone who has traveled a lot and thought a lot about what actually makes a place feel like home. The places that ask something of you, the places where you have to learn the language and figure out the local rhythms and earn your place in the community, those are the places that end up meaning the most. Italy is not just offering you a cheap house. It is offering you a completely different relationship with time, with food, with community, with beauty. And there is something about waking up in a stone house in the Sicilian hills, drinking your morning coffee in a courtyard that you are slowly bringing back to life. that makes all the paperwork feel very, very worth it. For those wondering about the practical side, the renovation costs are real and can vary enormously depending on the property. A house that has been empty for 50 years needs more work than one that was lived in until recently. Costs can range anywhere from €10,000 for a modest fix-up to well over €100,000 for a full structural restoration. But compare that to property prices in most of the world right now, and it is still an extraordinary deal. And the Italian government has also been offering a flat income tax rate for new residents moving from abroad under the so-called flat tax regime, which can be genuinely advantageous depending on where you are coming from. The cultural experience, though, is what I keep hearing about from people who have made this move. There is a different quality to daily life in rural Italy. The food is not just good, it is an entire philosophy. The social fabric is tighter. People gather in the piazza. There are festivals for saints you have never heard of that turn out to be the most joyful events you have ever attended. And as someone who has spent a lot of time thinking about dating across cultures, I will say this. Italians have a warmth and directness in relationships, both romantic and platonic, that is genuinely rare. You will be welcomed, even if it takes a little time. If Italy is calling your name, start by looking at programs in Sicily, Sardinia, Molise, and Calabria. Those regions have the highest concentration of €1 home programs right now, and many of them have active English language resources online to help international applicants navigate the process. Country 2, Portugal. The slow life with a government stipend built in from Italy, we travel west and slightly north to Portugal, which has been having a remarkable moment for the past decade and shows no signs of stopping. And while Portugal does not have quite the same dramatic €1 home drama as Italy, it has something arguably more valuable for a certain kind of person, an ecosystem of programs, tax incentives, and regional initiatives that can make living there surprisingly affordable and, in some specific regions, actively subsidized. Let me start with the interior of Portugal, because that is where the real opportunity lives. The coastal cities, Lisbon, Porto, the Algarve, have gotten expensive and crowded in recent years. But the interior, places like Alentejo, Beira Interior, Trás-os-Montes, these regions are facing the same demographic challenges as rural Italy. Young people have been leaving for the cities for generations, and the villages that remain are trying to reverse that trend. Several Portuguese municipalities have launched what they call interioridade programs, essentially incentive packages for people who agree to relocate to the interior. These can include reduced or waived property transfer taxes, financial support for business creation, subsidized housing, and in some cases, direct monthly payments to new residents. The amounts are not enormous, but they are real. We are talking about supplements of a few €100 a month in some programs, which in a country where the cost of living is still relatively low by Western European standards, makes a meaningful difference. Portugal also has its non-habitual resident tax regime, which for a long time was one of the most attractive tax programs in Europe for people moving from abroad. While the details have been adjusted over the years, the basic principle has remained. If you qualify as a new tax resident in Portugal and have certain types of foreign income, you can benefit from significantly reduced tax rates for a 10-year period. This is not exactly a salary the government hands you, but when you do the math, the tax savings can absolutely function like a monthly bonus. And then there is a program that not enough people talk about, which is the Portuguese Digital Nomad Visa and the broader D7 Passive Income Visa. These are not just immigration pathways, they are signals of what Portugal is trying to do. Attract people with means, with skills, with businesses that can contribute to the local economy without taking jobs from Portuguese citizens. And the country has built the infrastructure to support that, with excellent internet connectivity even in small towns, co-working spaces, an active expat community, and a culture that is genuinely warm toward outsiders. I want to tell you about the feeling of Portugal, because I think feelings matter enormously when you are thinking about where to live. Portugal has this quality that I find very rare in Europe, which is a kind of unhurried contentment. The Portuguese word saudade gets thrown around a lot, that bittersweet longing, but what I actually experience when I am there is something more like peacefulness. There is not the frantic energy of bigger European capitals. There is incredible food, extraordinary wine, a coastline that is genuinely among the best in the world, and a kind of cultural confidence that does not need to announce itself. For people who are thinking about dating and relationships internationally, Portugal is also fascinating. Portuguese people tend to be reserved at first, but deeply loyal and affectionate once you have earned trust. The family structure is central to life in a way that I find really beautiful. And the expat community is large enough that you will not feel isolated, but small enough that real friendships form quickly. I have watched people arrive in Lisbon knowing no one, and within a year have a social circle they say is better than anything they had back home. The village programs in the interior are where the most direct financial incentives live, and I would encourage anyone seriously interested to look specifically at the municipalities of Pampilhosa da Serra, Penamacor, and Vila Nova de Foz Coa, all of which have had active newcomer incentive programs in recent years. The housing costs in these areas are dramatically lower than the coast, and the landscape, rolling hills, old granite villages, vineyards, is quietly stunning in a way that grows on you. One thing I always tell people about Portugal: learn some Portuguese. Even basic conversational Portuguese transforms the experience completely. It is not as hard as you think, especially if you have any Spanish background, and the response you get from locals when you make the effort is worth every awkward mispronunciation. Country 3. Greece. Islands, incentives, and a second chance for forgotten villages. And now we make our way to Greece, which is doing something I find almost poetic. A country that has been through enormous economic difficulty, that watched its young people leave in huge numbers during the crisis years, is now turning outward and saying, "Come here, build something, and we will help you." Greece has been rolling out programs specifically targeting depopulated areas, and the most evocative of these involve the Greek islands, because here is a fact that surprises most people. There are over 6,000 islands in Greece, and only around 200 of them are inhabited. Some of the inhabited ones have been losing population for decades as residents move to Athens or emigrate entirely. And the Greek government has started to take that seriously. The Antikythera Island program became one of the most talked about examples when it launched. The tiny island of Antikythera, famous historically as the location where the ancient Antikythera mechanism was discovered, put out a call for families to relocate there. The offer included free housing, a monthly stipend, and support for children's education. The island had dwindled to just a few dozen permanent residents, and the program was designed to bring in new families who could help sustain the community and the essential services that only exist when enough people live in a place. This is not unique to Antikythera. Other small Greek islands and mainland villages have experimented with similar approaches, and Greece has also been developing tax incentive programs for foreign retirees and remote workers that reduce the income tax burden significantly for new residents. The 7% flat tax for foreign retirees who relocate to certain Greek regions is one of the most straightforward and attractive incentives in all of Europe. You pay 7% on your foreign income, full stop. For someone receiving a pension or passive income from abroad, that is a genuinely transformative number. Let me paint you a picture of what daily life can actually look like in a small Greek island community, because I think it is worth slowing down here. You wake up to water that is so impossibly blue it looks like someone turned up the saturation. You walk to a small cafeneon where the same men have been playing backgammon since the 1970s, and they will absolutely let you join once they know your name. You eat food that was grown locally, prepared simply, and is better than almost anything you have ever had in a fancy restaurant. Time moves differently. The afternoon siesta is real. The evening meal starts late and goes later. Community life happens outside, in public, in the slow drift of people gathering without a specific agenda. There is something I want to say honestly about moving to a place like this as an outsider, because I think it matters. Greek island communities are tight. They have their own social codes, their own histories, their own rhythms that have developed over centuries. You will be welcomed as a curiosity and perhaps as a savior of a struggling community. But being welcomed and truly belonging are two different things that take time to close the distance between. The people who thrive in these places are the ones who come with humility, with genuine curiosity about the local culture, and with patience for the process of becoming a real member of the community rather than just a resident. From a dating and relationships perspective, Greece is rich territory. Greek culture places enormous importance on hospitality, on family, on the table as the center of social life. Greeks are expressive, warm, argumentative in the best way, and deeply loyal to the people they love. There is a directness to Greek social interaction that can feel overwhelming at first if you come from a more reserved cultural background, but once you adjust, it feels like a kind of honesty that is deeply refreshing. For the practical details, the Greek government's programs for newcomers are best navigated through the official Invest in Greece agency and through specific regional development authorities. The Aegean Islands, Crete, and parts of the Peloponnese all have active programs at various times. Tax residency applications, the 7% flat tax regime for retirees, and the various digital nomad visa options for remote workers are all legitimate pathways that Greek immigration lawyers can help you navigate efficiently. And I will say this, there is something about living in Greece, surrounded by the physical remnants of one of the most remarkable civilizations in human history, that changes you in ways that are hard to articulate. You are not just moving to a nice country. You are moving into a story that is thousands of years old, and every ruin, every column, every olive tree older than any country most of us can name reminds you that your own timeline is very, very short. That perspective is, I think, one of the most valuable things any place can give you. Country 4, Canada, the northern promise of rural revival programs. We are going to shift continents now and head to Canada, because Canada has been doing something quietly extraordinary that tends to get overlooked in these conversations, probably because Canada's reputation is so dominated by its 2 or 3 biggest cities that people forget how vast and varied the country actually is. Canada is, by land mass, the second largest country on Earth. And the majority of that land is not Vancouver. It is not Toronto. It is not Montreal. It is an enormous, extraordinary, often breathtakingly beautiful spread of smaller cities, towns, and rural communities that are actively competing for new residents in ways that can be genuinely financially significant. Several Canadian provinces have developed what are called rural and northern immigration pilot programs, and some of these go quite far in what they offer. The programs are specifically designed to direct immigrants and newcomers to communities outside the major urban centers, places like Altona in Manitoba, Claresholm in Alberta, Moose Jaw in Saskatchewan, North Bay in Ontario. These are towns with real infrastructure, real services, real economies, and real shortages of workers and residents. The programs work in a few different ways. Some offer direct pathways to permanent residency in exchange for committing to live and work in a specific community for a set period. Others offer settlement support packages that include housing assistance, job placement services, language training, and financial grants to help with the cost of establishing yourself. In some of the more aggressive programs, particularly in Atlantic Canada under the Atlantic Immigration Program, the combination of employer support, government grants, and community incentives can add up to a substantial financial package that meaningfully offsets the cost of relocation. Some Canadian municipalities have gone further than the provincial programs. There have been schemes offering free or heavily discounted land for people willing to build homes in rural areas. Certain towns in Saskatchewan and Manitoba have offered residential lots for $1 or for free as part of efforts to attract new families and reverse population decline. These are real offers attached to real land in real communities that need people. Now, I want to be honest about Canada in a way that I think is important. Canada is not a country where things are handed to you easily. The immigration system, even when it is generous, is bureaucratic and requires patience. The rural communities that are offering these incentives are genuinely wonderful in many ways, but they are also genuinely rural. Winters in much of Canada are extreme in a way that people who have not experienced them sometimes underestimate. -30°C is not a metaphor. It is a Tuesday in January. But here is what I love about Canada and why I think it belongs on this list. Canada has something very rare in the current global moment, which is genuine openness. Not just legal openness, though the immigration pathways are real and functional, but cultural openness. Canadian society has been built on the understanding that people from everywhere are Canadians, that diversity is not a challenge to be managed, but a fundamental feature of what the country is. And in smaller communities, that openness often expresses itself as a kind of warmth toward newcomers that can be unexpectedly moving. I have spoken with people who moved from the Philippines, from Nigeria, from the United Kingdom, from Brazil, to small Canadian prairie towns expecting to feel isolated, and instead found themselves embraced by communities that were hungry for new energy, new businesses, new neighbors. The hockey rinks, the community halls, the local curling clubs, these are not just leisure facilities. They are the social infrastructure of Canadian small-town life, and they are genuinely inclusive spaces. From a dating and relationships perspective, Canada's multiculturalism means that in most communities, even smaller ones, you will find a mixture of backgrounds, and Canadian social norms around dating tend to be relatively relaxed and egalitarian. The challenge in rural areas is simply that the dating pool is smaller, which is worth acknowledging. But many of the people who have relocated to rural Canada through these programs arrived as couples or families. And for those people, the quality of life on offer, the space, the safety, the outdoor access, the genuine community feeling is consistently rated as extraordinary. For anyone researching this seriously, look specifically at the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, the Atlantic Immigration Program, and the various provincial nominee programs that have rural stream components. Immigration consultants who specialize in these pathways are worth the investment because the paperwork is genuinely complex. But the outcome, Canadian permanent residency with financial support to establish yourself in a community that wants you, is one of the most concrete and reliable versions of this kind of opportunity anywhere in the world. Country 5, Japan, the most surprising gift of all. And now we arrive at the country I have saved for last, both because it is perhaps the most surprising entry on this list, and because, in my own experience, it is the one that generates the most genuine disbelief when I bring it up in conversation. We are talking about Japan. Japan has a housing problem that is almost the mirror image of what most Western countries experience. While most of the world is dealing with housing shortages and skyrocketing prices, Japan has millions of empty homes, called IKEA in Japanese, that owners cannot give away. And I mean that somewhat literally. There are over 8 million IKEA properties across Japan right now, sitting empty because rural and suburban Japan has been losing population for decades as young people concentrate in Tokyo, Osaka, and Fukuoka. The Japanese government and many individual municipalities have responded by creating IKEA banks, essentially registries and programs where these empty homes are listed for sale at extraordinarily low prices, sometimes for free, sometimes for a nominal administrative fee. And some municipalities have gone even further, attaching renovation subsidies, monthly living stipends, and additional financial incentives to encourage people, including foreigners, to move in and revive these communities. The Okayama Prefecture, for example, has been particularly aggressive in its outreach to international residents, offering housing support, language assistance, and business setup grants. The town of Nagoro in Tokushima Prefecture became famous for a slightly different reason: the local woman who filled the empty houses with life-size dolls of the people who had left, which is both beautiful and haunting in a way that only Japan can pull off. But the underlying story is the same: communities that remember what it felt like to be full of people and are reaching out for a way back to that. Some specific programs offer monthly stipends that can run into several 100,000 yen per year for people who commit to residing in rural communities and, in some cases, starting businesses or engaging in farming. The Chiki Okoshi Kyoryokutai program, which translates roughly as Regional Revitalization Cooperators, pays participants a salary for working on community development projects in rural areas. The program is primarily targeted at young Japanese people, but there are international pathways, and several foreign nationals have participated through specific local government arrangements. I need to be honest with you about Japan in a particular way here, because Japan is a country that I love deeply. and where I also think it is important to have clear eyes. Japan is not an easy country to immigrate to. The language is genuinely difficult. The social codes are intricate and require real effort to understand. Japanese society, particularly in rural areas, can be quite closed to outsiders, not out of hostility, but out of a cultural insularity that has developed over centuries of relative geographic isolation. There is a concept called uchi sodo, the inside group and the outside group, and as a foreigner in rural Japan, you will be sodo for a long time. But here is what I also know from speaking with people who have made this move and stayed. The depth of belonging that is possible in Japan, once you have earned it, is unlike anywhere else. Japanese communities that adopt you take care of you in ways that are profoundly meaningful. The older residents who become your de facto grandparents, the neighbors who leave vegetables from their garden at your door, the local festivals where you are eventually asked to participate rather than just watch. These are not small things. They are the substance of a life. Japan is also, from my perspective as someone interested in travel and culture and relationships, one of the most endlessly fascinating countries on earth. The food alone would justify the move. Japanese cuisine at the local, everyday, non-tourist level. The ramen shop that has been there for 40 years. The izakaya where the same regulars come every Friday. The grandmother who makes tofu the same way her grandmother did is an ongoing revelation. The landscape, particularly in rural Japan, is extraordinary. Mountains, cedar forests, rice paddies, rivers, coastlines that seem to belong to a different planet than Tokyo. The dating culture in Japan, particularly for foreigners, is something I want to address because it comes up constantly. Japan has a reputation for being difficult for foreigners in the romantic landscape, and there is some truth to it, but it is also much more nuanced than the stereotype. Japanese dating culture is more indirect than most Western cultures, and the norms around expressing interest and making the first move are genuinely different. But Japanese people, especially in communities where they interact regularly with foreigners, are curious, warm, and open in ways that develop slowly and then become very deep. Patience, again, is the through line. For the practical side of the Akia opportunity, the best starting point is the government's official Akia bank aggregation website, which consolidates listings from across the country. Many local municipalities also have English language pages specifically for international applicants, and organizations like the Akia and Inaka Company have built services specifically to help foreigners navigate the process. The visa situation requires research because Japan's immigration system has its own rules, but the startup visa, the highly skilled professional visa, and the artist visa are among the pathways that can be combined with Akia programs for the right profiles. Conclusion: the life that is waiting for the brave. So there you have it: Italy, Portugal, Greece, Canada, and Japan. 5 countries with real programs, real incentives, real communities that are offering something genuinely rare in this world: the chance to start over somewhere extraordinary with actual financial support to help you do it. I want to leave you with one thought that I find myself coming back to constantly. The people who take these opportunities are almost never the ones who had everything figured out before they left. They are the ones who decided that the life they imagined was worth the uncertainty of going after it. And every single person I have spoken with who has made a move like this, who renovated a house in Sicily or accepted a stipend to live in a Japanese mountain village, has told me some version of the same thing. They wish they had done it sooner. The research is yours to do. The decision is yours to make. But the possibility is real, and it is waiting for you. I am Julia. If this kind of content speaks to you, you know where to find me. And until next time, keep going somewhere that surprises you.